everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes and talk about the application assignment that you completed last week or whatever, you know when you completed it. And I wanted you to look at this lesson because I think it's a really good example of a math lesson. Sample math lessons are not always so easy to find. This one was from the explicit instruction textbook from Education 762, but I believe this is one of the only math lessons in the book, in that whole book. There's one other one, but it didn't really have as much detail, I think, as what I wanted. So I wanted you to look at it just to be familiar with what a good lesson looks like. And some of you found a couple things and said, hey, well, I would have done this differently, or I would have done this. And that's totally fine. That's what I want you to start thinking about. Those of you who took 762 in the fall, you wrote lesson plans. I gave you feedback, but there's only so much feedback I can give you. I want you to actually, see a lesson plan that is well written, that has all the components, and really start thinking about what that looks like for you when you're out there teaching. If you're taking 763 with me this semester, I'm having you look at those high leverage practices videos because I want you to see good teaching in action, right? So being able to write a good lesson plan is completely different than being able to implement a good lesson plan. And so now as you're moving closer to student teaching, I want to start thinking about the implementation of those lesson plans and what you're going to do. What high leverage practices are you going to use? What evidence-based practices are you going to use to implement those lessons, right? Anyone can write a good lesson plan with enough feedback and support. But now we need to think about, okay, the implementation of those lessons. So that's why I wanted you to look through, and read through this lesson plan. And I believe I did mention it in 763 in the task presentation as well. So you may have been a little double dipped with this lesson plan. But just a little feedback, if you do have the textbook still, explicit instruction, it's on page 254 and 255, but just really quickly, with the opening of the lesson, the teacher gains students' attention in the beginning of the lesson and every time that the students need to refocus on the teacher, right? Look up here, or whatever she said, watch me, just getting that attention. The goal of the lesson, the relevance of the skill to solving algebraic equations, those are briefly stated. Some of you, or I think one person said in your assignment that they didn't do the purpose and the relevance, and you're 100% right. The purpose and the relevance, though, is kind of just a Francis Marion thing. Most other lesson plan formats don't necessarily have those two things as separate items. But that was a really good observation. Okay, and then also in the opening of the lesson, the well-organized review is provided, right? She really, or the teacher, really, goes into their prior learning and uses that as part of a way, part of the way to get them engaged. And hey, let's talk about what we did yesterday. Let's make sure that, you understand it before we go on, right? So students are given tasks to perform that demonstrate their understanding of terms, variable, and expression, which were both prior knowledge, right? Both prior terms. The teacher is able to verify that all the students understand these terms, okay, before going on. All right, so that's the, that's the opening. And now I have the modeling, and excuse the bent right there. I had it copied and folded in half because I put it in my computer case, and it's just easier to show it to you on this piece of paper than to try to reconfigure the camera because I'm in kind of a interesting little setup right now. So it's just easier to do it this way. So sorry about that. Okay, so then we get into the modeling of the lesson, the I do, right? Watch me. So the teacher models the skill 3 times, right? Watch me, watch me, watch me. He or she demonstrates and describes the skill performance. During the first model, the teacher involves students by asking questions that tap into what they already know. So again, using that prior knowledge, using what they already know to get them prepared and ready for this new lesson. In the second model, the teacher reduces the amount of teacher talk, but retains the key words. So still teacher modeling, still watch me, but now, okay, I'm going to ask you some questions. I need you to be a little more involved, but you're still not ready to be involved completely 100%, by yourself without me. And then by presenting 2 expressions with the parentheses in different locations, the teacher dramatically shows the importance of doing the operations within the parentheses first. So using the same, I think it was there was one where the teacher, and I'm sorry I keep saying she for the teacher. It could have been a guy. I don't know. They use the same numbers, but the parentheses were in different places, right? So that's a really great example of, hey, here's how PEMDAS changes the answer to a problem. And then during the third model, students answer additional questions as they help the teacher determine the value of the expression. So still very teacher-guided, very teacher-centric, but getting those students more and more involved. Okay, and then moving on to the prompted or guided practice, the we do, and then the unprompted practice, you do. And remember, the you means the students in that algebra class. I think it was high school, or did they give a grade? I don't know. Y'all know I forget. But it means that's what the you is, right? Those students in the class. Okay, so to reduce the possibility of errors, the teacher asks students not to go forward until directed. And that, I think, is really important. I talked about that in the task presentation because, typically teachers will say, okay, here's a worksheet with 25 problems on it. Go ahead and just start working at number 1, and I'll check it maybe once throughout, and I'll check it at the end. Well, what if the student is wrong? What if they are wrong about a concept or a skill or a procedure or a math fact, right? What if they're wrong every single time about 6 plus 8? Every single time they say that equals 15. Well, we all know it equals 14. But if you don't stop them early on, they're going to keep saying 6 plus 8 is 15 over and over. And then guess what? It's very hard to get that error or that incorrect answer, kind of out of your system. Think about it. If you make a mistake once on something, chances are you're going to keep saying that, right? I know I do. If I say one thing wrong, I will say that forever and ever and ever. So we want to stop them before they get to the end of 25 problems. Oh, here you go, teacher. Oh, well, you missed this and this and this on numbers 1, 2, and 3. Oh, and then guess what? You missed it again on numbers 5, 7, 10, right? But if you have them do a problem or two and you check it, or if you have another adult in the classroom, or you could do some peer work here, some peer checking after you teach the students how to appropriately check and stuff like that. But you don't want them to just, go on, okay, be free, see you later, I'll be over at my desk. No, you want to make sure you're checking them early on to make sure they have the correct, sequence and concept and procedure, and they understand PEMDAS. Okay, we're only, right now we're looking at the order of operations. So, the parentheses. So make sure you're starting with the parentheses, right? So that's why that is really, really, really important. To keep students from sneaking ahead, the teacher asks students to put their pencils down to indicate completion. And you can certainly do that. Hey, do the first problem, do problems 1 and 2, and put your pencil down. I need to check before you move on. Especially for these students who struggle, right? They have disabilities. They're identified as having disabilities for a reason. So especially with this population of students, you need to check them before you just set them free and, oh, be free. No, that's not how it happens. All right, the next one, the teacher prompts the students orally, on a number of problems, right? Giving that oral prompt, that oral feedback, that oral practice. As students demonstrate proficiency, the teacher gradually fades the amount of scaffolding. So going back to, this modeling up here, you're going to start, watch me, watch me, watch me. You're going to gradually kind of release your control and turn it over more to the students. Okay, we're going to do some together. So then we can work down to this independent practice or unprompted practice. Okay, on the last item, the teacher provides only a brief reminder, with the thinking being, by the time they get to the last item of this prompted and unprompted practice, they should be pretty comfortable. They should be okay with what they're doing by the time they get there. So that's why it's only a brief reminder. And then following guided practice, the teacher checks the student's understanding before assigning independent work. When does the teacher check the student's understanding? Everyone, before. See how I slipped in a little explicit instruction right there? But you want to check, again, going back to up here, you want to make sure that you're checking the student's understanding before, okay, here you go, here's page 100, do all 87 problems, and I'll see you later, bye, be free. No. Check before, just in case you forgot. All right, and then the closing of the lesson, the teacher also provided a brief review and preview of the next day or the next lesson. I know some of you now are on A days and B days and virtual days and face-to-face days and da-da-da and da-da-da. So today we blah, blah, blah. The next time we're all together, we will look at the next letter, the E, we'll look at the exponents of the PEMDAS, right? So the next time we're all together, the next time I see you, we will blah, 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 blah. And then independent work is assigned, right? So going back up here, teacher asks the students not to go forward. Following guided practice, the teacher checks students' understanding before assigning independent work. And so then at the end of the close, I guess, independent work is assigned. All right, so I just wanted to give you a little feedback. Again, if you have the textbook, explicit instruction, it is pages 254 to 255. So that might help you out for the future. All right, I'm going to try to switch. Okay, let me go back to Blackboard now. I do want to show you quickly. Do I have it open? Let's see. I know y'all like my singing. Okay. And then going back to Blackboard, upcoming, we do have the Iris modules and part 1 and part 2, and there is there's already a video posted right here, so go under the Iris. Oh, excuse me, I lied. The video, my bad, y'all. The video is under the content section. I was going to do a video for the Iris module, and then I realized, I had already done it. So just disregard the part about the application exercise. That's what you already did. But the Iris module assignments are within that same video. All right, and then under the assignments tab, you will click, so we've already done this, application exercise and the assignment, right? So now we're gonna go to the Iris module. Here's progress monitoring in mathematics. Again, you just click right there. It'll take you right to the module, and then you will answer these questions, the assessment questions, okay, as a Word document. And then you'll do part 2. And you don't have to submit your graph. You don't have to submit any of that stuff, the probes. You're just going to answer the 2 questions that go with this this assignment. Let me just show you really quickly. Let's see if I can get there. Okay, for the question number 4 in part 1 of this progress monitoring, I'm trying to find a new textbook for my new class this semester or this summer, so don't mind that. Oh my gosh, so slow. Okay. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm getting there, y'all. My bad. All right, so on this, for question number 4, seriously, y'all are killing me. Okay, so for question number 4, it asks you, and I know I could enable editing, but that's all right. I like to be difficult. Okay, so Mr. Alexander is a 6th grade mathematics teacher who is monitoring the progress of all of his students. Score Imani's week 6 probe by digits correct. All right, so the probe is included. It looks like this. Oh, sorry, that's a little cut off, my bad. There we go. And I'm being very mindful of my time because, of course, I'm almost out of it. So here's the probe. If you notice these red digits right here, or these red slash marks, that means those digits are incorrect. Iris was just trying to be nice to y'all and do the math for you, so you don't have to go through the math. Okay, so they were kind of helping you out, saying, hey, this digit is incorrect, this digit is incorrect, this digit is incorrect, and this digit is incorrect, okay? So score based on what is correct. Think about for this, 1 and 4/15. You're going to score, the 1 could be a correct digit, and then the 4/15 could be a correct digit, right? So problem C, this is 2 correct digits. All right, so you're going to graph Imani's data for the last 6 weeks. So what they're telling you, oh boy, here are the scores, 18, 20, 21, 21, 22, and then you need to compute week 6, and then you'll graph it. There is a graph within the Iris module, but it doesn't always come through. So there's a place where you can click within the module, but you don't have to worry about submitting the graph if it's hard for you, right? For some of you, I know it's easy and you can just do it, whoop, whoop, whoop. But if it's hard for you, don't do it. Just, draw it out for yourself, and then so you can say, what do the data indicate in the resulting instructional decision? What should that be? And then those 2 points that you would know in a meeting with Imani's parents regarding her performance. Okay, so if you don't feel that you have to submit the graph. I know in the module, though, you can click on it, and you should be able to graph them, but you don't worry about, again, don't worry about having to submit it. All right, so that is everything. And this will take us up until about the end of March, I think. See ya later.